Here stand two icons of automotive engineering. They are, of course, Porsche 911s. And in their day, they were arguably some of the most sought after and daring cars that you could get your hands on. But how do you enjoy them in the 21st century? And here at eDub Services, we want to offer another alternative to running the original petrol engine. We are, of course, talking about electric conversions. And what we're going to go through in this video is how that works in the Porsche 911s, and also why going for the most super-powered motor might not be the best option. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Kit Lacey here from eDub Conversions and Electric Classic Porsche, and let's dive into these two iconic beauties. So what's actually involved in the process of an electric conversion? Now, at the moment, there are kind of broadly three different ways that you can convert a classic Porsche to electric. One level is that you can simply upgrade the really essential parts of the conversion and just turn it into an electric drive. So that's primarily taking the engine and replacing it with an electric motor. So in those kind of conversions, you normally have quite a small battery pack, so quite a small range. You're retaining the original gearbox, which in the 911 was back here, and you would put an electric motor onto the end of that gearbox. And normally you will see conversions that put a battery pack above that, maybe some in the front as well. So that's quite an affordable conversion, but it does have a couple of compromises in terms of normally the voltage that's being driven at that, and also you've got a lot of electric power that's going through a gearbox that wasn't necessarily built to withstand that level of power as well. So that's one version of electric conversion. Another version is that you can actually have the entire vehicle made brand new as an electric vehicle. So there are certain vehicles, including 911s and a couple of other classic vehicles, where there are companies out there that build brand new chassis or monocoque chassis of those vehicles. So this is another option that's available if you want an electric classic looking 911, is you would get a vehicle that is technically brand new, but it would look like this. And what that would mean, you might see some of these as well online, is that they would have a modern number plate. That's the giveaway. And they might even have that green stripe on them that say that they're electric, but that is a completely new vehicle. So it looks classic, but it's actually driven really new. So if your priorities are about having something that's, you know, fresh out the factory, then that's a really great option as well. What our conversions do here at eDub Services with Electric Classic Porsche is somewhere kind of in the middle. It's taking the core classic vehicle and it's swapping some items within it to turn it into an electric driven vehicle. So what that means predominantly is obviously your engine, but also your gearbox as well. Now, the way that our conversions work is that they're not altering the vehicle at all. So here in the UK, the DVLA have a system of kind of classifying a vehicle and to say whether it is still the vehicle that it says it is, or if it's been significantly altered too much to become something different. And here at eDub, we've got 12 years of experience in the electric conversion industry, so we know how to navigate the ways that the DVLA are currently operating to make sure that when we do our conversions in classic vehicles, the vehicles stay classic. So our conversions are still original vehicles. They still have their classic status, they still have their registration number. They classify themselves as modified classics, which most of them are. So if you're finding we get questions about insurance. So if you're talking to a particular insurer, most insurance companies that deal with classic cars are aware that they've gone through some level of modification at some point because they're 50, 60 years old. So they always have some level of modification. But an eDub conversion kind of toes that line of making sure that you get all of the advancements of the electric conversion without altering the classic status of the vehicle. So what that means specifically is that everything is a bolt-on kit. So in the Porsche 911 conversions, you have two battery boxes. So in our larger conversion systems, you have the two boxes, big one in the back and then a smaller one in the front. Now we do offer a smaller battery pack configuration. A couple of our configurations are available with a smaller pack and therefore a lower range. And that's purely just a battery pack in the rear. And all of that is bolt-on. So originally, where your engine was bolted onto and where your gearbox was bolted onto, we've designed our systems to bolt into those exact places. In the front, there were a couple of mounting places for the petrol tank shelf. And so again, we design our systems to mount into those locations really, really sympathetically. But most importantly, it means that you're not chopping the vehicle, destroying the vehicle, changing the vehicle so that it stops being the vehicle that it really, really is. That means that it's also a reversible conversion. So if you are passionate about the classic status of your 911 or getting a 911 that wants to retain that classic status, then our conversions are perfect for that because they are simply enhancing the core vehicle and allowing you to enjoy driving it maybe a little bit more than you would have been able to previously, but they don't change the vehicle itself. So if as time goes on, you need to or decide to sell the car or somebody else is taking hold of it, the build is reversible. The electric system simply unbolts and comes out and you can put engine and gearbox and fuel tank back in again, which is super important again because the vehicle needs to stay original, classic, valuable. That's super important. It also means that as eDub evolve, and this has happened, we've seen this over the 12 years of our history and also of the industry itself, which is about the same age, where we've seen advancements in technology that mean that as you are improving the electric conversion systems, that we can get involved in those improvements. So bigger battery packs, faster charging, new motors and systems as well. We can enhance those really easily because the system is a bolt-on system. It's not kind of being modified to the specific vehicle itself. So hopefully that clarifies exactly what's going on with the electric conversion system. Let's look a little bit more in detail of exactly what that looks like in the vehicles. So to help you visualize what an electric conversion is going to look like in your Porsche 911, we're going to take a look in this one here. Now, first thing you're going to notice is it doesn't have a kind of cooling vent here on the back. So traditionally, the shape of the Porsche 911 would have, as it drove, would have driven air into a vent on the back here to then flow over the engine and to keep it as cool as possible, the most efficient as possible. That's no longer needed now that it's electric conversion. So we put a lovely kind of chrome panel on the back here. But let me open up the back for you and show you what it looks like on the inside. So there you have it. This is our eDub conversion system used through electricclassicporsche.com. And what you can see there is most of it. It doesn't look massively impressive, but what you've got in there is a combination of battery sizes depending on the fit of the vehicle. This particular vehicle has our highest capacity, so it's a 62 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is about 2/3 in the back here. It's not about, it is 2/3 in the back. There's another third in the front as well. That uses the latest lithium-ion battery pack modules that are, again, modular in how they are assembled into the pack. And they are brand new modules as well. So we're not using any reclaimed modules or any old modules. The battery conversion itself is all 100% brand new. Also in the back here, you've got all your clever stuff. So underneath the hatch here, you've got your battery management system, you've got high voltage contactors, you've got CCS control systems in there as well. So all that clever stuff goes on under the surface. You've also got all of your high voltage connections, so you can't really see any of it from the top here, which is intentional, but you've got all of kind of orange connections that are hidden down underneath the bumper, so they're nice and protected, which are taking high voltage power from the battery pack and either connecting it to the front battery pack, or they are connecting to the drive units, which is underneath, and to other accessories in the vehicle, such as the onboard charger, your heating and your air conditioning system as well. Also in the back here, we've got our CCS charging socket as well. This is always one of the biggest things, the biggest kind of struggle that we've found with all of our conversions is we're trying to keep the vehicle as kind of classic as possible, especially on how it looks. So we want people to look at the vehicle and still see it as a beautiful classic car. What we don't want is to people suddenly notice something that's a bit awkward and gawky and sticking out and looking really strange. Having the charging point somewhere that is subtle is such a huge challenge because most of the places where a charging port would need to go in the kind of traditional sense, the locations say where the petrol filler used to be. A petrol filler is much smaller than a charging socket, especially CCS charging. So we've had to come up with some inventive ways of where to put it. And in this particular vehicle, this is where it's going to go. What that means is that you could have a little hatch in that cover that we made on the top. So you could just open the hatch on the back to plug in. But it's not that big a deal. You can get into the back there and open at the back of it, and you can get right into the high voltage CCS socket on the back. Now, CCS charging. What you can see here is a CCS1 charger. This vehicle is going to America. It's going to an American customer. And our systems are available for customers in the UK and abroad over in the States as well. They run both CCS1 and CCS2 rapid charging. Those are at speeds available up to 70 kilowatts in terms of charging speed, which means in reality, you're going to get a top up in around about 45 minutes. In most scenarios where you're driving quite a long distance, especially with a large capacity back like this, then stopping for half an hour, 45 minutes is absolutely fine. More than long enough to grab a coffee and top up. The systems that you see here as well are also available for some trade customers as well. So if you're watching this video and you're not a Porsche 911 owner, but you want to facilitate electric conversions for your customers or people that you want to start a business for, then again, get in touch, because we are able to supply through distinct partners throughout the UK, over in the US, and actually in New Zealand as well now. So we've got a couple of points all over the globe where our Porsche 911 systems are available to purchase worldwide. But that's what's going on in the back here. Let's take a little peek underneath and I'll show you the motor and also the really unique options that we've been given to allow our customers to have not just a really powerful Porsche 911, but actually something that's really sympathetic to the classic vehicle itself. So one thing that we love giving our clients here at eDub is choice. We believe that it's really much more interesting if you've got different choices of what you can do with an electric conversion, as opposed to us just simply providing a kind of cookie cutter option and take it or leave it. It doesn't really give customers much options and much control over the whole procedure. So with the choices, we have a few different things that we can give in terms of take it or leave it, but we also have some really, really cool options to do with power. And those are eDub exclusive. And so I want to introduce you to this. This is the eDub drive unit. Now, our Porsche 911 conversions come with a variety of choices in terms of power. And these are given for very specific reasons. So traditionally, Porsche 911 conversions that you might have seen online from other companies, and even from us previously, because the eDub drive unit is a new feature. But normally these are driven by Tesla drive units, just because it's the most straightforward method of getting the right amount of power that you want into vehicles like this. And that is an option that we provide. So the downside is that you can't buy Tesla drive units from Tesla. They don't sell them. So we purchase our Tesla drive units from an approved kind of reseller who conditions them, checks them over, makes sure they're all working fine, gives them a kind of warranty on those products, which we then purchase and then we install into the Porsches. The other downside, arguably, to some people, is that they are pretty powerful. So our Tesla drive unit options are available in 400 brake horsepower or 600 brake horsepower options. So if you're the type of client that's looking for something with that level of power, but also exclusively if your vehicle can handle it, because of course there are some Porsches, G-body models, which may need a lot more kind of TLC before they're capable of handling that kind of power. But if that's you, if your vehicle is capable of holding it, or if you're already interested in doing other modifications to withstand that new power, things like upgrading your brakes, your suspension, your shock absorber mounts, all those kind of things that keep the vehicle solid while it's being driven, then a Tesla drive unit, and you want that speed, a Tesla drive unit, which is what's installed in these two Porsches behind me, that is going to be your go-to. But if you are the type of customer who wants something a bit more sympathetic or something that more accurately matches the original power of some of the original Porsche 911 G-body engines, then the eDub drive unit might be the perfect option for you. The eDub drive unit is you've got your motor on the side here, you've got a single speed reduction gearbox, and then you would put the drive shafts to the rear wheels off the sides here. There's also a separate unit, which is your controller and inverter unit that would sit anywhere in the vehicle, but we keep it in the rear, and that powers your motor. Now, the stats of this is that it's capable of producing up to 150 brake horsepower, but more incredibly, it's got 285 Newton meters of peak torque at 0 RPM. So originally, when the Porsche 911 G-bodies were manufactured, the kind of starting engine was about 150 brake horsepower. It didn't have 285 Newton meters of torque, it had less than that. But the reason that we've designed this drive unit to be sympathetic to these vehicles is, for the reasons I said before, is that sometimes the vehicles can't handle it. So for example, If you've got a really precious Porsche, maybe it's not had the best owner previously, or maybe you're not interested in doing some super upgrades to the vehicle like brakes, suspension, and other things. You want the vehicle to stay as classic as possible, but you want to have that electric power, and 150 brake horsepower is right in line with what the vehicle was made to cope with. So you're going to have much less issues in terms of the vehicle itself. Now, if you have a sensitive vehicle, something that does need some TLC in terms of reinforcement for more power, and you go ahead and throw a Porsche, throw a Tesla motor in there into your Porsche, then that's going to obviously cause a few problems down the line, and we don't want that. So giving you guys some choice is one of the highest priorities that we have. The eDub drive unit is available in all of our Porsche packages. So if you go to our website, you'll see the 4 different packs that we offer, and we can offer those depending, because it's kind of a vehicle and a customer dependency. It's nothing to do with the battery pack and the other specs that you choose. So you might want the biggest range possible, so 62 kilowatt hours, 220 miles of range, but maybe you don't want the super powered Tesla units. You want the sympathetic eDub drive unit, and that's just a simple option. So when you get in touch, you can tell us what your preferences are. But we take pride in spending time to really understand our clients and the vehicles that they have to give them the best options for them and their vehicle. So here in the front of the Porsche 911 are a lot more obvious alterations. Now, these models before are featuring some of our higher capacity conversion systems. So this green Porsche is featuring our 53 kilowatt hour pack, which means it has a second battery box here in the front. Now, if you chose one of our smaller battery box configurations, then you wouldn't need an extra box here. Everything would be in the back. So all of this space in the front would be to play with. But to show you what goes on in the front here, you've got your onboard charger here at the back. You've got a DC-DC converter on the side there. You've got your main battery box there in the center. That's about a third of the total capacity, so the rest are in the back. You've got high voltage cables running in orange over the top there that run actually down the original heater tubes to the back of the vehicle that are connecting to the back box. So again, we're not chopping anything or running anything. If you looked under the vehicle, you wouldn't see huge orange cables dangling around. Those are running through the heater tubes, which obviously aren't needed anymore because there's no engine at the back creating a ton of heat that you're then moving through to the front of the vehicle. But we do, of course, have our own high voltage heating system. So here on each side, we've got 2 high voltage heater bricks with fans on the back. And in the center, we've got a beautiful air conditioning system as well that's got a couple of components all over the place. So you've got compressors, condensers, radiators for the AC system kind of all over the front here that are efficiently moving air into the cab and chilling it down as nicely as possible. We've also got on the front here our high voltage safety disconnect system here. So when the vehicle is being installed, you leave that big section disconnected, which keeps the vehicle isolated. So if anything was to go wrong while the installation was happening, that the system doesn't go live. So you keep that system out until the very last minute. It's also a really good way of disabling the entire system if the vehicle was being shipped a long distance, or if you were super conscious about the security of the vehicle, then taking that piece out and keeping it with you is quite a fun way of making sure the vehicle can't be taken, can't be powered on without your knowledge. So that's on the front there, and again in high voltage orange, so you're very aware of where that is. The other big benefit of having a front battery box here is it actually makes the weight distribution slightly better than the Porsche was originally built with. Now, if you're a purist, then that's not good enough. But notoriously, Porsche 911s, because they had such a huge, powerful engine, were very rear heavy. And that meant that when you were driving at speed, the steering was a bit splashy. So you would feel like the steering wasn't quite doing what you wanted it to do because all of your weight was on the back of the vehicle. That's now changed very slightly with the bigger packs because you've got a bit more weight over those front wheels, which is pretty good idea because now you've got more torque in the back of the vehicle. Having more control over which direction you're powering that torque isn't so much a dreadful idea. So all of that, I think, constitutes a really, really special electric conversion system from the external parts of the vehicle. But why don't we go in the cab and take a look at what that looks like and feels like to you, the driver? So another thing that we prioritize with our conversions is a kind of second glance scenario. So what we don't want to create is something where you immediately look at something and something feels wrong or something feels out of place or too modern or too garish. Instead, what we try and accomplish is something where you look at it and you appreciate that it's a gorgeous classic car. And then you kind of look again because you're like, but hang on, something's not quite what I'm used to seeing. Something's a little bit different. And I think in the cab, we've really managed to nail that process as well. So first and foremost, as you're sat here in the driver's seat, most of it looks original. So the original 5 dials that you'd be used to in your 911 have been replaced with analog driven, but they are canvas driven. So from the drive unit system, the battery management system, to show you electric conversion features as well. So you've still got your speedo dead center. You've got your amps on the right here. So that's telling you how much power you're using, but also how much power you're putting back into the pack. So if you were driving very quickly and then you slowed down, then the regenerative braking would put energy back into the battery pack, and that dial would show you how much that was. It's also a live dial for rapid charging. So if you stop at a CCS rapid charger, you can actually see how fast you're charging, which is really cool as well. You've also got temperature gauge on the side here, so it tells you how efficiently the battery pack and the drive unit are operating with temperatures. You've got your state of charge on the side here as well, from 0 to 100%, and then you've got your battery voltages on the side there as well, just to kind of say how things are performing. So your dials don't look any different. Down by your feet, you've no longer got a clutch, so there's no more clutch down there that's going to be obviously helping you with shifting gear. You've still got your brake and you've still got your throttle. So the throttle is an original throttle in our 911 conversions, but it is connected to a potentiometer in the rear that's translating the movement of the cable into a digital signal that the drive unit is picking up on to register what you're trying to do, whether you're trying to drive and actually accelerate, or whether you're coming off the throttle to activate that regenerative braking as well. But everything else in the cab is as you expect. Everything is to that level that you can expect from your Porsche. Now, what that's also really important for is if your vehicle has either had some interior kind of upholstery work done or trim work done. There are some fantastic upholsterers throughout the world that can take care of a Porsche interior. But maybe you're going to have an electric conversion and then you want to have your interior taken care of by somebody specialist. What you don't want to have is an interior specialist who suddenly sees all of these extra, modern dials and screens and buttons and things, because they'll be like, what on earth am I dealing with here? Like, this isn't going to match anything I've got. So by having an interior like ours that's so sympathetic means that any upholstery specialist can come into this setting and go, oh, I can see what's going on here and it's not a problem. I can work my way around what's going on because most of it is exactly the same as what would have been experienced in the original classic 911. So I reckon I've waffled on long enough about the stats of exactly how our Porsche electric conversions work. Now let's take one out on the road and actually see how they drive. So how does it drive? Now, of course, I'm going to tell you it drives great. Be a bit of a strange video if I told you otherwise. It genuinely does. It's a really lovely, smooth acceleration. So you get, obviously you've got the height placement of you in the vehicle on the road. You can still see all the curves of the 911, so you know you're in a 911. You know you're in a classic. And just the feel of the seat and the position of everything, you know you're not in a modern sports car. And yet it's got that feel under your feet. So first of all, like, I'm not shouting, for one. I'm not having to get my voice over a loud engine that might have been chugging behind my head in a previous generation of this vehicle. It's practically silent the way it operates. It's just so smooth. So let me try and communicate some of the ways that it's different. Now, obviously, there you are. You've got that power as soon as you need it on the throttle. I'm not using, my left foot is just casually chilling. There's no clutch to operate, there's no gears to operate. I'm not having to find the right power to get me where I need to go. I can concentrate on enjoying myself, on having a nice time, on the smiling faces of people as I drive by. And my right foot is doing all of the work, as it would have been powering the throttle originally. But now, as we said before, connected to an electric potentiometer in the rear that is picking up on the signal of how much I'm pressing the throttle and how much power to then give back into the system. Really, really smart system. So it's really responsive. Now, for me, it's driving around roads like this that really make a classic car and really kind of let the electric conversion shine. driving up and down a motorway at 70 miles an hour in a classic electric conversion is not that much fun, to be perfectly honest with you. It's normally a bit louder than normal because the vehicles weren't really built when motorways were all the rage. So instead, I prefer the little back roads. I prefer this is its natural habitat, in my opinion. Being able to cruise, being able to get round the countryside, being able to just enjoy yourself. And for me, that's what the kind of essence of classic cars should be. There's something to take out and to enjoy, not sit in a garage or, you know, one day go out once a year. They should be enjoyed. You should be able to jump into them, turn them on, and off you go. An electric conversion helps you to achieve exactly that. But the system is just so responsive. It just still drives like a Porsche, but with that electric power. If I need it, if I've got a nice straight ahead of me, I can give it, and there it is. I don't have to be fretting about it. I don't have to be finding the gear. Yes, you've lost the noise. Yes, you've lost the rumble. And I'm not saying those are bad things. There are definitely people out there that take those as an absolute priority, and I'm not knocking it at all. If that's what floats your boat, 100%, like go all power to you. But it is something to try and communicate here, is that having that power on your right foot whenever you need it straight away is a completely different experience. It's really hard to describe. You've got to try it. Now, many people ask me about charging networks and how do you find a charger while you're out and about? And the reality is I don't. I use an app called Pitstop. You open up the Pitstop app and it shows you instantly where all the charging networks are around you, and also other amenities around that as well. So you can go and you can choose your charger. For this vehicle, you choose your CCS2 charger and it would show you what's nearby, you know, toilets, food stops, anything like that around it. And Pitstop's a brilliant app to find out the information. If you sign up now with our code eDub 2025, that's eDub 2025, then you'll get some exclusive points just for signing up with that code. So thank you so much for watching, and if you're still watching at this point, then I hope that you'll be able to see that an electric conversion is a really decent, viable option for a classic 911 such as these two gorgeous examples. And we know that this isn't for everybody. We're not trying to convince everybody to turn to electric. Our primary objective is to offer choice. So if people want to start considering electric, then we want to show that an eDub conversion system through Electric Classic Porsche is maybe the best option to go for. My name's been Kit Lacey. If you want any more information, then head online to either edubconversions.co.uk or to the brand spanking new electricclassicporsche.com website, where you'll be able to look at tons of details. You'll be able to download information on what actually goes into the choices of the conversion systems. And of course, you can book a video call with a member of the team here at eDub HQ in the UK and talk to us in live person about the different choices that we have in front of you. We can show you around the workshop and the projects that we're working on. So head to the website, drop us a line, drop us a comment underneath the video as well if you've got any questions about the vehicles, anything that you want to know more about. There's videos coming out all the time on all the vehicles that we're converting here at eDub. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.